Welcome to this first program where we're going to discuss a few things about the forests as well as it pertains the health systems or ailments that we need to actually be aware of. With me, Charlie Afekatungola, representing Developcom Web TV, I would like to most sincerely and heartily welcome you, madam.
Thank you very much.
Namfumo Conservation Trust is, I would say, it's an entity that I've been seeing around for some time.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've had some impact on the Zambian scene in terms of where the environment is concerned, as well as where the forests are concerned. So it's actually a privilege to be before a senior forestry professional who is an educationist as well. And I'm willing to actually look forward to learn from you as we interact. So,
thank you for the visit. We really appreciate.
Thank you very much. So basically, maybe just tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Namfumo Conservation Trust?
Okay, so we are a team. We are a registered trust.
Okay.
So we're not an NGO. We have a 99-year mandate because we are registered under the Succession and Perpetuity Act, under the Ministry of Lands. We're also registered under PACRA as a business limited by guarantee. Otherwise, we won't be able to buy and sell anything. What we do is that we work with rural communities. We specialize in working with women because we believe that women are the custodians of indigenous knowledge systems. Our ethos is that if we want to make a change, not only in the rural communities where the forests lie, but in the urban areas and cities like where we are in Lusaka right now, we need to learn how the community people have kept their forests in perpetuity up to now, and how we are impacting them that there's a high rate of deforestation.
Yeah.
How does that loop into what we do at the Namfumo Forest Herbal Clinic and Health Shop? We get all our products based on the indigenous knowledge of the rural women.
Okay.
They look younger, they are beautiful, they're healthier, they don't suffer from urban ailments. And that's a critical question. What do they do we don't do?
Exactly. I think we have a perfect example. You yourself, you don't look that old.
Well, thank you for the compliment.
Yes. So now,
I'm a product of our products.
What can I say? I'm a loss for words.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some critical things just within your introductory statement. You stated that you're working with women.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We're working with men as well because no woman lives alone.
Exactly.
Even if she's a female-headed household, she still lives with her sons, her nephews,
and
her uncles, her cousins, and community members. Yes.
All right. So thank you very much for clarifying that aspect. I would have been very, very worried if it was actually gender insensitive.
We're gender inclusive.
Thank you.
And there's
all
a
right.
difference.
Okay, so now the other thing that you mentioned is indigenous knowledge systems.
Yes.
Kindly just explain to us, what are indigenous knowledge systems in a broad sense? I know we're going to delve into specific topics with regard to indigenous knowledge systems, but just give us a brief overview of indigenous knowledge systems and how they can be acquired.
Okay, well, I won't give you a scientific or academic definition of indigenous knowledge systems. In simple terms, what your mother and your grandmother and your great-grandmother knew and passed down to you is indigenous knowledge systems. Because they didn't have to go through formal education to know that this salt has to be packaged in these leaves in order to preserve the efficacy of the salt. It's through experiential learning. They tried it out many, many, many times before they realized that it's a piece of information that can be passed on because it's valuable.
Yeah.
For example, just imagine how many people died before we learned the good mushroom from the poisonous mushroom. People have been eating mushrooms since time immemorial because fungus is one of the broadest range of plants on earth. So indigenous knowledge is passed on from generation
to
generation. It's only in recent times, since education became formal, that we are able to actually attend a lecture or do a full program on indigenous knowledge systems.
Okay.
By the way, what is passed down is also beliefs. You can't touch beliefs.
No.
And that's what we consider intangible heritage.
Okay.
What is tangible heritage is I can learn how to evaporate the salt, harvest it from the wetlands, package it, and keep it in my home.
Yeah.
As food, as medicine, as a cosmetic, as a spiritual cleanser. You will ask me, but how is it a spiritual cleanser? I'll tell you, I just know. And it just happens because my grandmother and the old women in the forested areas told me that it is. And I believe that it is. So it's nothing that we can touch, but we know it is there.
Okay.
Yes.
So just to find out a little bit more, these indigenous knowledge systems, in the forest areas where you go, how is this practice passed on to the newer generation? Is it still happening, or has culture really changed? Because from what I understand is that for us who are in the urban areas, we might actually not even have a chance to have this knowledge passed on to us because of cultural issues. Now you have an experience to actually interact with rural communities where you visit the forests. So from your own observation, are we keeping the heritage of passing on this information to the newer generation? Or
it's very difficult. When you look at those born after independence, they strived to pass on this knowledge because we lived as communal entities.
Yes.
We didn't live as father, mother, and children. We lived with the extended family. While our parents and guardians went out to formal employment, we remained at home being taught how to prepare katapa. Katapa is cassava.
Cassava, yes.
Why is it we don't cover the pot when preparing katapa? Scientifically, we know that cassava tubers and the leaves have poisonous substances called cyanide. My great-grandmother doesn't know the name cyanide, but she would always say, "Muikupika katapa twala akolwa," meaning do not cover the katapa pot because we will all become intoxicated.
Yeah.
So they know that through boiling it for a certain amount of time, from the color of putting it into the pot until it changes color, then they know that the cyanide is not there. Very few people die because it's been passed on. But there's now a break in the sense that anything my grandmother tells my son is old-fashioned.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. If I Google about cooking katapa, will I find it? It's really rare these days for our children to sit with our grandparents. Our grandparents are still alive, by the way. It's sad if you took a walk to Leopard's Hill Memorial Park, most of the tombstones are not of the old people. It's of the millennials, of the Gen Z, of the Alpha generation. It needs research to find out why we have so many of those tombstones and so few of the older generation.
Yes.
Yet each time an old person dies, my heart bleeds because they have died as a person, but they have also died as a library of information.
Information that too. Very, very difficult to actually.
So this session we're having is a way of communicating as a bridge. Not everybody can go and speak to the old people because there's a skill you have to use. You need to be as patient as you can be.
Yeah.
Some of them will say the same story 5-6 times, not because they are doing it on purpose, but because they've got dementia. Yet the information they keep glitching on, glitching is now Gen Z language.
Yes, exactly.
Or spazzing on, is important.
It's very, very important, yes.
And sometimes there's a language barrier. Not that my grandmother is speaking Tonga or Bemba or Chewa or Luchazi. It's because they speak a certain way that our modern generation and children do not speak. Some of the words are the same, but then they mean something else. I'm sure you've spoken to a millennial or a Gen Z. The vocabulary has totally changed. Yeah. So all that through this program and other environmental education efforts, we need to bridge that gap or else we lose who we are.
Exactly.
Who are you?
You asked me that question again.
So when you ask a younger person who they are, they find it very difficult to answer. They'll say, fine, I am Lubale and my mother is Luchazi. Can you speak the language? No. Why do they eat usi and tusonji? We'll be like, those fish actually smell like. And I'm like, but it's fish that your grandmother and your mother ate to have you.
Exactly.
Now you can't eat tusonji and tukea and tunkuvyu because you don't know what it is. So who are you? Once we start answering that, then we start realizing as a people the wealth of indigenous knowledge systems we have. As food, as medicine, as prevention of illnesses, of conserving the forest through sustainable harvesting practices, as early warning systems. Do you know that the Lozi people in Barotseland, they have an early warning system of when to have and when not to have the komboka? And it's all based on a beetle that is on a reed. When it rides low on the reed that season, the elders know that this year there will be no komboka. Scientifically, that beetle feels the vibration of water flooding the Barotse plains. If it rides halfway up the reed, then maybe they'll have a strategic decision to have the komboka or not. Like this year, it wasn't based on the flood. It was based on a strategic decision. When the beetle rides high on the reed, and everybody, even the fish camps, would have to shift to the higher land because the floods will be above the normal standard level.
Great.
All that is indigenous knowledge.
Great, Namfumo. I'm glad that we are actually privileged to have you because you've talked about bridging the gap.
Yes.
We really need to bridge the gap, especially for me and my interest with young foresters who have been trained but might not be having this valuable information. So through these programs, I am hoping that we'll be able to reach out to them and teach them and pass on the indigenous knowledge systems. We are still here at Namfumo Conservation Trust at the Herbal Clinic, and we are with Msonda Kapena, Madam Namfumo as I call her, and she's just going to tell us a little bit more about the products that they have in store for you members of the public. As you are aware, she did mention that these products are actually obtained from rural communities out there in the rural outskirts of this country, where members of the public, actually members of the communities, these are women and youths. Am I right or not?
And men too.
And men too. They prepare these products and then they are brought here for value addition. So she's just going to explain a little bit more on that. So, Madam, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. So, what we have here is what is readily available off the shelf.
Okay.
So, for example, we have the honey, that is food. We have the msekese chili chutney. This is made from this here. So this is a chili chutney, which has a shelf life of over 24 months. It's infused with the msekese. Msekese is Piliostigma thoninge.
Yes.
It's a legume, so it's rich in a lot of phytonutrients. So some people like chilies, but they don't like them msekese. So they can still consume them msekese in the chili.
In the chili.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll talk about how each of them is prepared a little bit later on.
Yeah.
So the msekese is really good against malnutrition. It's really good in giving you back the nutrition that you don't have.
Okay.
Remember that in the urban areas, you eat a lot of dead food.
Yes.
Food that doesn't have any nutritional value,
yes.
but it has a bulking factor which cheats your body that you're full when you're not full.
Okay.
So this is a medicine. The Forest Immune Booster is a 21-day treatment. it activates and cleanses out your body. It's been used for years in the communities as a formula.
For 21 days, and I'll be good.
You'll be good to go, provided you maintain a healthy lifestyle, a healthy mindset,
Yes.
and a healthy diet.
Okay.
If you take the booster and go back to alcohol and nicotine and a negative lifestyle and bad diet, you will go back to zero. These are not miracle herbs. They work based on what you want them to do.
Okay.
Yes. If it's a short-term boost, like our male formula here, the male formula is actually a combination of forest herbs which enhance the libido and hormones of men.
Okay.
It's commonly known as mtototo, as imvubwi. It's all just high qualities of vitamins and phytonutrients that work well with the male hormones.
Okay.
What works well with the females is what we are calling the female formula. It's a thermogenic. What that means is that it makes the female body nice and warm and sensual, and it heightens the sensitivity of the body.
Okay.
It's been used in the village. There's a little bit of nyanganya in there, a little bit of other things that just work perfectly for women.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we have the teas here. This is kanunka tea, blackjack tea.
Yes.
Yeah. Biden spinosa. Most of the people know it as a weed, but for us it's valuable because it is known to have anti-cancer properties.
Okay.
And secondly, it's becoming scarce to find because we continuously use weed killer and herbicides, which isn't good.
You're quite right. Blackjack is rarely seen nowadays.
Yeah. In the villages, it's there because they don't afford weed killer and herbicides.
Okay.
So it works very well as a vegetable.
Okay. Is it the same family with tindingoma?
No, tindingoma is an okra. It's a whole different family.
Okay.
But it also gives you back the phytonutrients that you don't obtain from foreign fruits, for example.
Okay.
Because their genetics have been tweaked for reasons we would not talk about in here.
Okay, thank you.
This is the devil's claw we spoke about.
Yes.
That's how it actually looks. And that's why it's called devil's claw. It's got nothing to do with the devil himself or itself. But because it looks like this mangled up claw, that's the English name.
So what is it used for?
It's anti-inflammatory. It aids in the management of arthritis, of gout, of any form of inflammation in the body.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have that in 2 packages. Then we have wild mushrooms as well. Those ones there. There's pampa and usefwe. You can have your mushroom off season. We'll teach you how to prepare it so that it's not as sandy as if you don't know how to prepare it.
Okay. So this is
dried.
It's dried?
Yes.
But is it enough?
It's enough for a meal. This is dry. So when you add water, it rehydrates and becomes more. The same as the pampa. Put it in a pot. You'll be like in Kariako na Maela. Yeah. Okay. So we have the Zumbani tea. We have the forest heat formula.
The Zumbani tea does what?
It helps you, especially in the season that we're entering now, where you have the cold season.
Yes. So
it helps against fevers. It helps against respiratory problems. But it also gives you back the nutrients because it's straight from the plant. You dry it, put it in the packet, it's ready to eat.
Okay.
There's no artificial processing involved.
Great.
Yeah.
So
it's the same as the wild tea. That's straight from the tree into the packet.
Okay.
That has a relaxing effect. If you are stressed like city life is, you take it in the evening and you feel calmer than when you came in.
So talking about stress.
Yes.
What is trending right now is that we are having a lot of stress-related problems in the communities.
Especially when you drink energy drinks.
Yes, energy
because
drinks.
It heightens you, then you don't know how to calm yourself down. Then you start becoming restless.
Yes.
And your organs become affected.
Yeah. Well, there are quite a number of mental health-related issues. Yeah. Like that issue of not sleeping.
Insomnia.
For me, I think I do experience that problem.
We have the wild tea.
So I think I'll try this one.
Yes, you should. But don't take foods that activate your energy,
Right.
because that's not natural.
Because you see, I've been having challenges. I sleep at 21, wake up at 01.
In the village, they drink tobwa, chiwantu, umunkoyo. It gives them sustained energy. You want to drink an energy drink, 5 minutes after drinking, you feel like you can fly. You feel like you can run 1,000 kilometers. That's fake energy. It's fake false energy.
So, okay, we'll discuss that in detail later on. But before we wrap up, we need to talk about this heat. You know, forests are not supposed to be associated with fires and heat.
The products from the forest.
So, but why are you calling this one forest heat?
It's also a winter favorite because it gives you the male or female energy you need.
Okay, so it's for both male and female.
It's for both because it's food. There's nothing magical about it.
Okay.
It's like you taking ginger.
Yes.
It heats you up because it's a thermogenic. But it has a nice effect when you have a very happy horizontal experience. Okay. It's the same as
horizontal experience. No, we'll discuss more about that, Madam
So it sorts out men's health, female health.
Okay.
We have a warning on it. We cannot sell it to anyone below the age of 21 because of those enhancements of the libido and the sexual health. Okay. You'd be surprised how many people in the urban areas do not have or enjoy healthy conjugal privileges with their spouses. Yes. Because of the energy drinks, the stress levels, the lack of nutritional balance.
Exactly.
Marriages are breaking.
No, that issue of marriages is very serious.
We should have a topic on that. Yeah. Just a whole episode or just a section to talk about it.
Because as of early this year,
yes,
the statistics were that in the last 2 years, divorce rates have reached up to 77,000. And that's not a statistic to just ignore.
There's a saying in English, a hungry man is an angry man.
Of course.
An angry man is a violent man.
Of course.
So we need to look at the root. What is causing these divorces outside factors of financial challenges and other external challenges? What is in the human that triggers us to get upset, to be irritable, to be all these things? So we might have to talk about menopause. We might have to talk about men's health.
Exactly. But because the ones who are divorcing are not old people. It's us, the young ones.
It's the millennials, the Gen Zs.
So thank you very much.
The baby boomers of those born in the 70s and early 80s. We know how to be patient. Unless you're pushed to the extreme, then you say, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Before we leave, there's also this mundambi.
These are the mundambi leaves, and these are the mundambi flowers. So this packet, some of it is in the forest heat.
Okay. Also
because
it's an ingredient.
It's an ingredient because it has very special qualities that make the female body happy, the male body happy. But even kids can drink it because it gives you back the nutrients. Then your body is at its peak. When your body is not balanced and it's not at peak, you suffer all kinds of imbalances.
Okay, then I can see you've got aloe vera powder.
Yes.
For what? What is it used for?
It's used as an antifungal. It's used as a hair mask, a facial mask. We simply provide this to people that don't have aloe vera outside in the yard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's been used for years.
Okay, great. Then you had memory loss. Yes.
We're actually changing the label to memory boost.
Yeah, because memory loss is...
People thought when I take this, I'll lose my memory. So it's a memory boost, and it's working very well for older people.
Okay.
Because the older you grow, the more forgetful you become.
Yes.
But this has an ingredient that keeps your brain functional, healthy. But if you take a lot of sugar, you still have memory loss. Because sugar, artificial sweeteners, give you a fake high and a fake low. Okay. So your brain is forced to start adjusting. But what this does is it tries to maintain and bring back your brain health. At least it works in the villages, and it's worked here.
But would you recommend it for the younger generation, the youths?
They need to
Between
focus
18
on their diet
more than
getting remedies.
Eh?
When you live right, you don't suffer certain things.
Okay.
When you live right, tell me the basic food they eat in a day. They start with wrong food for breakfast. They snack on wrong food. They have wrong food for lunch. They have wrong food for supper. So they'll feel full, but they're becoming obese, or they are suffering heart attacks. 17-year-old with a heart attack in the village, it's rare. There may be other congenital issues, but usually a young person doesn't have old people problems.
All right. So, Namfumu, thank you very much for sharing with us all this.
We forgot to talk about this.
We forgot to talk about Impemba.
But I guess you'll have a program just for it.
Exactly. But basically, maybe you can just shed a little bit of light on this. What is this?
This is an African gem. It's harvested from the earth. It's processed by the women. You can't be installed cheap.